Yeah, I'm back at it again. Just wanted to share a little bit about how the day went. Man, the day was a rough one, boy. I got to be honest. Sometimes in life, when it seems like you have so many victories, there's nothing like a good old-fashioned butt whooping to humble you. Despite having to wake up first thing in the morning because I get an email saying that work needs to be done, and now it needs to be done early before the kids get there. So you got to get up bright and early to get this work done. But the thing that was really kind of rough for me was, as I had been spending weeks wanting to bless somebody that has been very inspirational to me, a person who's spoken a lot into my life, and I've gleaned a lot from this person, and I just wanted to be a blessing to this person. I never said it out loud or nothing. It was just something that I had made up in my mind that I wanted to do. And I was all gung ho and ready to do this. And then all of a sudden, it was just one onslaught after another of build this, money do this, kid needs this, build that. And I wasn't able to do it. And I know a person might think to yourself, like, yeah, that's life. But one of the hard things about life is it doesn't matter how good you try to live your life. Sometimes you have to live with the consequences of your actions. Sometimes, even though you're trying to clean your life up and live what's right and do what's right, those bad decisions, you always got to pay for them. Here it is that those Christmas monies, when I had money that I could have just paid cash for instead, let me go on ahead and put it on the credit card. Oh man, I don't feel like giving up my cash right now. I'll just put this on the credit card. And now here it is, January, and them Christmas bills are due. And it's a shame because you really want to do things for other people. And that's kind of one of the reasons why it's so important for us to take serious all the aspects of our life, get a grip on our finances, get a grip on how we spending our money, get a grip on how we steward the resources that we have in our lives, because the time may come when you want to do something, but instead you obligated to take care of the consequences of the choices that you made. And then it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that oh man, you a horrible person for being this way. All it means is that the bill came due. And it came due at a time when you didn't want to pay it. You know. But one of the lessons that I did learn in this is just because you mess up, or just because you have to do that, there's still a roof over my head. My kids still fed. My family, all the bills is taken care of. Clothes on our back, transportation, gas in the tank, all that is good. It's just that sometimes those extra things that you want to do, when you don't live, when you're not diligent with your finances, when you're not diligent with how you take care of things and how you be responsible for something, those other things get sacrificed. And that's the reason why I kind of wanted to start looking into diversifying my life so that I'm just not a paycheck person where I just don't rely on that, on having to get up every day and go to work. Eventually, I want to get to a place where I'm getting that passive income, alternate streams of revenue, so that it mitigates those times. Because the reality is, half the reason why I got into that situation is, I grew up poor. I take that back. We grew up broke. We wasn't poor. We was broke. I'll never forget. I went over some friend's house one time and went home and told my mom. I was like, "Yeah, mama, they poor." You know. Now I'm just broke. But one of the downsides of growing up broke is is the moment you get a little older and you start getting a little bit of money in your pocket, you like, oh man, I got to take care of myself. Oh man, I work too hard to not have something. So you get in this mentality of spend first, save later. Spend, 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 buy whatever your little heart desires. I can afford it, you know. And most of the time I can't afford it. The problem is when I can't. The problem is when I don't, when, like I said, the credit card bills come due because you got a little too comfortable with putting stuff on credit card. You got a little too comfortable with doing this and doing that. Now all of a sudden, yeah, you could go into the savings account, but that's why it's called savings. You could go someplace, do this or rob Peter and pay Paul. You could, but that's not being real responsible. Responsible is just slowing down your spending, and in some cases, stopping your spending. Stop being living extravagant to give yourself an opportunity to get to a place to where when you make when you do decide to spend a little money here and there, it don't mess up nothing. It don't stop the flow at all. I'm not necessarily a Dave Ramsey supporter, but I do kind of understand some of the principles that he teaches about, about what you're supposed to do with your money and how you're supposed to treat your money. It's a biblical principle, that if you can't be faithful over a little bit, how you ever gonna be faithful over much? And this is for everybody. This ain't just for Christians. This is a practice that is for everybody's life. If you can't be faithful over what little bit you have, that's the reason why it says that most of the people who win the lottery end up broke within a couple of years because nobody ever taught them how to be responsible, or they never taught themselves how to be responsible with the money they got. So you get more money, and instead of it blessing your life, it ends up destroying you. It ends up putting you right back in the same situation, but actually worse because you had a taste of what it was like to live good for a while. So that's the reason why really the goal is now is just to start training my mind, training my life, to start taking how I spend my money and how I delegate my resources, how to start taking that more serious. I don't want to just, it's one thing to be able to die and your family have enough money to bury you and there's no debt left over. But it's another thing to die one day and be able to leave your family something, leave your children something so that they can start at a little bit better place, or leave your children something so that when they have children, you can make it a little easier for them. Hopefully by that time you would have taught them how to be more responsible with their money, and hopefully you would have taught them the importance of having a good job. And I don't really want to teach my children to have a job. I want to teach them how to be passionate, to find something that they can be of service to, for them to be able to do something, to be able to provide for themselves. But I also want to teach them early while they're young, the responsibility of money, teaching them how to take $1 and save $1, and instead of getting $1 and spending the whole dollar on candy, take $1, put 50 cents away, put 75 cents away, and then go take 25 cents and buy you one piece of candy. And then the next time you do that, you get to save a little bit more money. It's amazing how many times I give my kid, $20 or something, and them suckers want to go to Five Below as soon as they get it. And then 2 weeks later, they like, Daddy, I need more money. And they ain't even doing nothing with with the stuff they bought from Five Below. But that's the stuff that we have to teach our children. And it's easier to teach them at an early age than it is to wait until they get our age and then get addicted to spending money and doing things and getting bad habits and everything. And then one day they wake up feeling sorry because when they try to live right and try to do something nice or try to do the right thing, they didn't have the resources available to them because their resources was chewed up on a wasteful life or a wasteful spending. But that's all right though. It was a little disheartening, when I woke up this morning and had to, go through it or whatever. It was a little disheartening, but the reality of it is this is a lesson learned. And it's only a lesson learned if from this point forward, I do everything I can to start being more responsible with my resources, start being more responsible with the income that I have, start being more responsible with what I spend my money on, start being more responsible on how on making sure that whatever I spend my money on is something that I actually need. And if it is something that I want, to make sure that I can actually take the money out of the checking account instead of putting it on a credit card, because the credit card the credit card reaper comes looking for his funds every month. That's a mess. But man, I just wanted to share that with you this morning. I mean, this evening. You know, sometimes, man, it feels good every now and then to vent, but it also feels good to know that somewhere somebody else is gonna hear this message one day, and they're gonna be in the same boat. And it's always feel good to know that somebody else has went through the same thing. You're not the only person who's ever made mistakes with your money. You're not the only person who ever tricked off some cash. You're not the only person who ever, bought a bunch of stuff and then look back at it and realize you ain't even used half the stuff you spent money on. And now you wishing that you had that money back because you really need something. You're not the only person who's ever done that. And you won't be the only person. You won't be the last person to ever do it either. It'll be a bunch of people, but hopefully we can just stop for a second, get off the hamster wheel of wasteful spending, and do the best we can to start being prepared and to be more diligent with our finances so that we can have a better tomorrow. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Y'all be blessed.